Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery, Smart Money Alliance, and IIMFL. It's a beautiful Monday morning, November 2nd, 2020. We get together most Mondays through Fridays at this time, 8 o'clock Central, on this Zoom bridge to talk with our distribution partners. We have affiliates, financial literacy educators, branch managers, and joint venture partners. So regardless of which role you're in, or if you're considering working with us and collaborating, it's a pleasure to visit with you. Today's topic is really part two. The first part was on Friday. And so you can see here on the screen that we've provided the YouTube link from part one. So let me give you a quick synopsis and then we'll dig into today's topic. So the premise of Friday's training, part one, is a systematic, credible, legitimate, no pie in the sky approach to helping anyone generate at least $10,000 a month as a distribution partner. And so we went through and discussed what the problem is: small businesses accessing capital. The solution, our access to capital program, no upfront cost, $100,000 guarantee, no minimum time in business, no minimum personal credit scores. And then we talked about the process, right? Because if our goal is to put money into our own bank accounts, then we're going to need to work backwards. So while bank deposits is the most important thing to you, bank deposits don't just happen, right? We're going to need to generate conversions. And to generate conversions, we're going to need leads. So there's a process that we need to flow through. And what we established on Friday was that we have an unlimited number of free leads, which we'll talk about a little bit more briefly. And then we have certainly the solution. What's interesting is our approach is taking you out of the sales, quote unquote, process. You don't have to sell anything to anyone. You're just essentially facilitating the push of education out to recently started businesses. Now, some of you are quite proficient in generating leads on your own. And if you're already earning the income that you want, which again, we would normally say 10,000 a month through our collaboration, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But others of you, frankly, aren't in that $10,000 to $20,000 a month range. And so what we're giving you is a simple recipe that if you follow, it will work. So let's talk a little bit more about the leads. I've got a sample pulled up here because on Friday we talked about where we get the leads from that will take care of the cost of obtaining the leads, and we'll provide leads to you for free. We've established that, but there was some question about, well, can we see what the leads look like? So Charlotte Dumas was asking for some leads. So here are recently formed, in the past week, by the way, DBAs formed in the LA metropolitan area in the past week that are home-based. So what we sent her just this morning, quite frankly, this spreadsheet gives the entity name, the address, the zip code, the zip +4, the county that it falls in, the phone number, the primary SIC code, the SIC description. Now you see a lot of descriptions that say non-classified. You and I love to see that, right? Because that goes to show that that small business is not set up properly. Because if they went to try to access capital and their Dun & Bradstreet profile showed non-classified, that's a significant barrier in accessing capital. So there's a number of reasons why these prospects are really good for the access to capital program. Recently formed, home-based, which typically means that that's a barrier. Having a commercial address is preferable for many sources of capital, and having a cleaned up Dun & Bradstreet profile, including accurate SIC code, is crucial. Moving on, then we have the primary contacts first name and last name. You'll see that we didn't give Charlotte all of the names, not like we're holding it out or filtering, but for instance, for the second company, that didn't come from the public record. It did for the third, it did for the fourth, it didn't for the fifth. Again, we're just pulling from public data, so we can't really apologize. This is what the public data has, and that's what we'll provide. So certainly it's nice as Charlotte calls and she can ask for Michael specifically. In the second example, she won't know who to ask for, but we're going to provide her a phone number, which I'll show you. Chances are whichever phone number is listed is probably the cell phone of the person that filed the DBA. Can we pull LLC, C Corps, and S Corps, not just DBAs, assumed names? Of course, but the criteria on this one was specifically home-based DBAs formed in the past week in her community. We see gender, male, female, again, doesn't report in every case, can't help it. This is what we're getting from the public records. Their title, manager, owner, whomever's filing the DBA, unless it's their CPA or attorney, it doesn't really matter. They're the point in contact. Again, we did filter on DBAs. So all of these for Charlotte are DBAs. And then, as I mentioned, we filtered on home-based businesses. And we focused on new businesses, and these are new within the past week. And then also employee size, and this is interesting. I don't really understand. It would seem unusual for a brand new DBA to have employees already, but maybe it's an existing entity and they're adding a DBA for marketing or promotional purposes. But anyway, we can't take any responsibility or any criticism for the spreadsheet. The spreadsheet is the public records from LA County that, and apparently Orange County, LA metro area, that we're providing to call upon. So the goal today was not so much that, but to talk about the implementation. So let's get back over here to the email and use this as our talking points. So what is the concept? The concept is to reach out to recently formed businesses. We'll provide the leads list for free. We're not selling leads. Don't worry about that. And the goal is to introduce the no upfront cost, $100,000 guarantee access to capital program without any selling on your part. Now, this is going to be best done by our financial literacy educators, and we'll dig more into that. But with that being said, let's talk about the preparation. So what is it that you should do? Maybe we should have called this prerequisites instead of preparation, but nonetheless, let's go through the bullets. So you need to have completed the background check if you want to be a financial literacy educator. That protects us, quite frankly, because if there's something in someone's background and we're plugging them into a system where we're working on capital raises with small businesses and that person does something unscrupulous, we don't want to be brought down with them. So we require a background check if you're going to follow this model. Now, if you don't want to do a background check or can't pass a background check, that doesn't prevent you from being an affiliate. But our financial literacy educators must pass a background check. State laws, again, I can't change it. State laws are state laws. You must be licensed if you're going to act as a financial literacy educator. Normally, you'll get your resident license in the state in which you reside. And then if you want to work and help small businesses in other states, it's usually very easy, cheap, and quick to get a non-resident license in other states. If you're not licensed, we can help you with that. So that's not a barrier. It's a prerequisite to use this model, but it's not a barrier. Then we need to make sure that you're ready to act as a financial literacy educator. And we've had training on that. A number of you are doing this already, but that's essentially where you set up a Calendly calendar, and then we're able to start plugging clients into you. And of course, any clients that you generate through the system that we're talking about would automatically come to you. But we also have what we'll call orphan clients that are generated at large that we can help place with you. But primarily, this is generating a system so you are in control of the volume of clients that you're working with, because you or someone on your behalf is working the leads list, which we'll talk about that more in a moment. So you need to have passed the background check. We need to get you licensed. If you're not licensed, we can help you with that. You need to be ready to be the mentor, because what we're trying to do is have the licensed insurance agent be the same person that's mentoring through the clients through the 4-week process. And it's only 4 15-minute appointments. It's not crushing by any means. And in fact, it's positioning you very nicely to be a known, trusted resource. So when it does come time to help them write the key person policy, they know you. It's not a handoff, cold or warm handoff. It's you that they've been speaking with. Makes it very natural. I think what we're going to do is provide 500 leads a week. And so that's essentially, if you're going at it full blast, and again, we'll talk about how you don't have to make any of the calls if you don't want to, that's essentially 100 calls or 100 leads to work a day, 500 a week. And so that is the proposal, no cost to you. And then we'll provide a personalized landing page, which you'll see here as we go through. The scripting is important because that's where you're going to drive your prospects to. You'll notice here that you're the conduit or the facilitator to build awareness, but you're not selling anything. You're not even frankly pitching anything. You're just trying to make them aware of a resource that's available. Now, how do you get the personalized landing page? There's 2 ways. If you go through the background check and get set up with us as a financial literacy educator, we will provide the landing page for you for free. If you are an affiliate and you don't want to do the background check, you don't want to work with the clients, you just want to generate leads, we'll still provide you a free landing page. All we ask is go ahead and go through the Access to Capital program yourself. That's the best way for you to understand the process. So 2 ways to get a free landing page. Number 1, become a financial literacy educator in good standing, as we discussed, or simply be an affiliate, but actually go through the Access to Capital program yourself, because that's the best training we could provide. Okay, so now we get to process. And again, so as you have questions, comments, concerns, don't hesitate to put that into the Q&A box here. It's like a chat box on Zoom, and we'll address them. So what is the process? Well, we've got the proposition, right? No upfront cost, $100,000 guarantee, Access to Capital program through a 501c3 nonprofit. Check, check, check. That sounds great. We got over 28 million small businesses. Most of them want and need capital. So is there an identified target market with a need, a problem that we can solve? Check. But we somehow have to make them aware of that, right? And that's where you come into play, or your team comes into play. So if you don't want to make any calls at all, that is fine. It's not a requirement. But whomever is going to make the call, which we'll talk more about in a second, there's an asterisk there that brings us down here. But whomever is going to make the call is going to call them, ring, ring. And a lot of people won't answer a call from a number that they don't know. And frankly, that's another red flag for them, another benefit for you and I. Because if you're running a business, can you imagine having a Domino's franchise and the phone rings and you look at caller ID and say, well, I wonder if I should answer this phone call or not? No, real businesses answer their phones, right? And it is a sign of immaturity of a business when they use a cell phone or something where they're screening calls, right? Unless they have a very boutique business, they're just treating it like a personal phone line. But regardless, most of these small businesses won't answer on the first call. It's a cold call. They're not expecting, they don't recognize your number. So what we've learned is you call them, instead of leaving voicemail, then you just turn around and call them right back. And a lot of people will pick up. Human nature, psychologically, you'll think, oh, they're calling again. It must be important. It must be urgent. Maybe I should pick this up. And so that's the second sentence. Now, if they don't, and we'll talk about scripting in a second, but if they don't pick up on the second call, it's okay. Just leave a voicemail, and the voicemail, the message will be much like the scripting we're going to go through in a moment. Now, what we like to do is after each call, whether you reach them or not, you want to go ahead and text them. And so the texting is going to provide them the link to your landing page, which is the call to action. So you'll notice you're not trying to explain the program. You're not trying to sell them something. You're not trying to do anything other than make them aware and guide them to your landing page. And we'll see that in a moment. And as I mentioned, even if they don't answer, you still should send them the text. As we talked about on Friday, it's too good to be true to think that we're going to give you 500 leads a week, 2,000 leads a month, and everyone's going to answer and be all friendly and sign up. You know, that's too good to be true. So if you follow the process, you'll need to do some follow-up. We know in terms of marketing, it typically takes multiple touches to get someone to engage. And you're kind of calling them out of the blue. Now, they're pre-qualified indirectly in the sense that they're a newly formed business, and we've identified other red flags with them that they probably won't be able to access capital efficiently or effectively with what we're seeing about their business model. But nonetheless, anticipate that you'll need to follow up. You'll need to decide what your follow-up sequence is. Are you going to call them back in 2 or 3 days, give them a week? What are you going to do? What we do know is that when we get the initial leads list from the public records, let's bring that back up, we do not have the email address. It does not come from the public records that we receive. So don't plan on emailing them because you won't have their email address. But frankly, we found in today's environment, email is not all that effective because people get inundated with emails. It may go into spam or what have you. So the absence of an email, I don't think is really going to harm your conversion percentage. All right, and so the good thing is you'll know when they moved on to the next step because you're going to drive them to your landing page, which I'll show you in a moment. And then once they fill that out, then we're going to send them the Access to Capital DocuSign, and we're going to copy you on it. So you'll know how many people and which of the people have taken that next step. If you've not received a copy of a DocuSign for that given person, then you know they haven't progressed to that next step, and either you can continue to follow up or have someone follow up with them, or if you want, write them off. Now, let's go back to this asterisk here because this is based upon a telephone campaign. And you may be like me, I don't know that I'm diligent enough, or that I'm responsible, I'm capable enough to sit at the phone and make 100 calls a day. So what you can do is outsource that. We talked about this on Friday, a couple different ways you can outsource it. You could have new team members and you assign them, and that's one of their first responsibilities. You can outsource it by getting gig workers on Upwork if you want, but nonetheless, someone somehow needs to follow this process to reach out to the prospects if you're using this technique. Again, some of you have other techniques of generating leads. If you're hitting 10 to 20,000 a month bank deposits in your bank account from our model, from our collaboration, I wouldn't fix what's not broken, but many of you aren't hitting those types of numbers. So the key is don't think that you have to make the calls. The calls have to be made, but they don't have to be made by you. Okay, so then we get down to the scripting, which I think was really the catalyst for us to put together part 2 of the training, which we're having now. So here is the recommended scripting. And we did this on behalf of Charlotte, which we talked to on Friday. So let's go through this. Hi, my name is Charlotte. Actually, my name is Tom, but hi, my name is Charlotte, and I'm calling you as you formed a new business within the past year. Pause. So we'll let you know how recent the leads list, like Charlotte's leads list, is over the past week. Those are even riper, right? Because they're hot and fresh. But the bottom line is, depending upon where you're at, we may need to go deeper than a week at a time to get enough leads, depending upon how many new businesses are forming. So you can change the time frame if you want to match the leads list we've given you, but we've made it generic. Okay, so again, hi, my name is Charlotte, and I'm calling you as you formed a new business within the past year and may qualify for a grant subsidized program to provide $100,000 or more through a 501c3 nonprofit collaboration we've formed. All right, so it was kind of a mouthful, but we wanted to make it personal enough. We let them know who we are, what our name is, why we're calling, because they formed a new business within the past year or whatever time frame you want to reference. And then we're opening up the conversation that we have a grant subsidized program to get 100,000 or more. And then the 501c3 is more of a credibility factor. Now, you'll notice we don't really get into cost, or there's no upfront cost or what have you. That's going to open up a lot of sales dialogue that we're trying to shield you from. So with that being said, then the question, so you pause and then you're asking, would you like to see if you qualify? And some people will say yes, some will say no, some will say, I don't know. But if they do say yes, then you're going to say, well, great, I'm going to text you over a link that will provide you more information, including a brief YouTube video and a brief inquiry form to see if you qualify. Okay? Okay, great. And so it's really that simple. So we could time it. Let's go ahead and time without me pausing and analyzing. And let's see how long it takes to read through this. Ready? Hi, my name is Charlotte. I'm calling you as you formed a new business within the past year and may qualify for a grant subsidized program to provide $100,000 or more through a 501c3 nonprofit collaboration we've formed. Would you like to see if you qualify? Well, great. I'm going to text you over a link for more information, including a brief YouTube video and an inquiry form to see if you qualify. Okay? So that was about 30 seconds, a little bit less than 30 seconds. And that's really as much time as we would like you to spend on the phone. Some of you are very good, but what we're trying to do is keep it simple, where you're facilitating the awareness, but you're not explaining. Because frankly, for many of you, the more that you talk, the less likely that they're going to proceed, because they're going to ask questions that you may not have the confidence or competence yet to answer, and you'll probably reduce your income the more you talk. The less you talk and the more you use the tool, the greater income we anticipate that you'll generate. So then you fire a text over to them. This is the recommended text language. Of course, you would change it to your name, although Charlotte would be fine if you fed her leads. And then also you're going to use your landing page, which we provide you for free. Now, at that point, they're going to see the number that the text is coming from. And so what we do want to seem is real. So that's why we add, if you have any questions, let me know. And so you'll have to decide which of those questions you want to address versus just feeding them into the process. Because once they fill out the landing page, again, we're going to send them the DocuSign, copy you or blind copy you, whichever they do, and then we'll take it from there. But we do want them to feel like that you're a real person and they do know where the text came from. So I know that there's some apps where you can spoof different numbers and make the text come from a different number other than yours. I wouldn't recommend that you do that. Now, with that being said, you can go through different services and have a text line that's not off of your cell phone. It could be Google Voice or Ring Central or others where you can get a text line that doesn't ring back to your personal cell phone. That would be your choice. Okay, so we're 23 minutes into today's call. That's what I wanted to share with you. So let's get questions, comments, concerns. We've got a lot of great minds on here. We've got Anna Marie, Annette, Anthony, Barry, Bill, Brian, Charlotte, Christopher, Clarissa, Kwong, Daniel, Doug, Galaxy, Joseph, Pauline, Peggy, Tony, Travis, Will, and others. Okay, yes. So if you want to schedule a call with me, it's calendly.com/IIMFL. Calendly.com/IIMFL. Now, Christopher is asking about contacting me. What you're not doing is trying to push all these people into a scheduled Calendly call. We're not trying to do that. We're not trying to feed them into the webinars. Most Mondays through Fridays at 10 o'clock Central, not today though, we'll have a live Access to Capital webinar. That's not your call to action. Your call to action is to get them to fill out the form that's on your landing page. And all we're collecting from them is their name, which I know we already know, their phone number, I know, we already know. And then thirdly, their email address, which we don't already know. And so by them providing that, they've taken some action step, which shows that they have some interest, and then we'll take it from there. We'll send the DocuSign to them, and then the DocuSign will send them reminders. And if they need additional support in making a decision, we can certainly help them with that. Okay, so what other questions do any of you have? And if you feel that there's a weakness with this process that we've described, let us know. I mean, we're thick-skinned. If you feel like that you can do it better, if you've got a better way that you care to share with everyone else, but there's only a handful of you that are generating 10 to 20,000 or more a month by us working together. Now, I'm not saying that you're not all making a boatload of money doing whatever you do outside of our world. I'm not judging you. I'm just saying from our collaboration, there's only a handful of you that's generating six-figure incomes. And so if that's the case, we either need to fix that, or you might want to go find some other way to generate an adult income because your time's too valuable to struggle financially. We know that there's almost an unlimited number, almost an infinite number of small businesses. Almost all of them need capital. And now that we have the opportunity to educate them about an offering that has guaranteed results, no upfront cost, no minimum credit scores to qualify, no minimum time in business to qualify, that is pretty ripe. We talked on Friday amongst ourselves here of what type of conversion do we think that we'll get. Let's assume that we only get 3%, which I think is what we agreed upon as a group on Friday. So if you or someone on your team, again, you don't have to make any calls if you don't want to, but if you or someone on your team makes 100 calls a day, then that is 500 a week. Get my calculator out here because I'll screw this up. So we're making 500 touches in a week. That's excluding any follow-ups that you make, but let's just say 500. And if we have 3% conversion of that, which I don't think is unreasonable, then we're at 15 conversions a week. Let's multiply that times 4 weeks in the month. So we would be writing 60 key person policies a month, 60. Now, how much will you make per key person policy? It depends on the policy design and so forth. But let's just be real conservative and say that you only make $500. It should be much closer to $1,000. But let's go with that. That puts you at $30,000 a month. Let's say that your close percentage is only half of that. That still puts you at $15,000 a month. Now that we switched over to AIG, and we'll have some more training coming up on that this week, by the way. But now that we switched over from Nationwide to AIG, now we have non-med underwriting for under $500,000 policies for individuals ages 50 and below. My gosh, that is popping through. So you're going to see income much quicker, more satisfied clients. But let's get back to your questions. So thank you, Barry and Brian, for your feedback. What we know is there's many different ways to generate leads. We can go talk to chambers and churches. We can go out teaching virtually or in person. But what we found is none of those were universally applicable to each of you, because you each have different experiences and education and background and time availability and transportation and so forth. This is a model that's reproducible as long as there's a willingness to comply. And again, it does not require any phone calls. If you don't want to make the phone calls, we can have someone else make the phone calls for you, as we've discussed. Okay, so let's get back. There's too many of you on the phone, on the webinar, that we're not getting enough feedback. So I want to elicit more feedback. So let's go back again. Anna Marie, what are your thoughts on this? Annette, what are you thinking? Anthony, what are your thoughts? Bill, what do you think? Is this something you could do? Charlotte and I have already talked, as well as Barry, Mr. Reeves, Clarissa, Quam, Daniel, Doug, Galaxy, Mr. Harris, Joseph, Pauline. Give me some feedback. What are we missing that you could turn around and take between Friday's training and today's training and go implement this. Try it for a month. Try it for the month of November. Now, some of you are working full-time jobs or you can't make 100 calls a day, then that's fine. Again, we can get a team involved and let the team make the calls for you. You can still be the mentor. Let's say that you don't want to be the mentor. Can you still make the calls? So sure, you can still make the calls, but your income is going to be deferred until the client has their first capital raise. If you're licensed, your income is going to be in the first 30 days, closer to the first 15, 20 days, because you are able to write the key person policy. Joseph asked, pricing on telemarketers. Well, as we talked about on Friday, there's two ways to have someone else make these calls for you, which is here. You can get because remember, we have an affiliate model. It's not MLM, not network marketing. You can recruit affiliates, Joseph, and promote specifically for people that are willing to make calls. There are people out there that are wired, that are comfortable, that are fine with making a bunch of phone calls. So you would screen on them, bring them in as sub-affiliates. Then your upfront cost is zero because they're getting paid 1% of the capital raise and $1,000 off of the refundable deposit when it's paid. You're still making the key person policy. If you've got the thicker pockets, Joseph, and you want to go out and just pay someone out of your pocket to make calls, then go to Upwork, upwork.com, and you can find a bunch of gig workers that would be willing to make these calls for you. Okay, thank you, Joseph. Kwong asked, do you recommend business or personal phone to contact clients? I don't know that the client's going to know if your phone is coded as a business line or a personal line. They're going to obviously see the number you're calling from, and they may be tempted to call you back. So you need to make sure the voicemail is set up to be professional and appropriate. But I don't think it matters if it's a business line or a personal line. Thank you. Peggy says, well, I have a separate sign-up page. So yeah, the landing page, as long as you have a landing page, that's all that you need. And we provide everyone a free landing page, either by becoming a financial literacy educator that's set up, or being an affiliate and participating in the Access to Capital program. So I don't think you would need a different one, because what we do with all these landing pages is take you out of the sales process. You drive in the leads and we take it from there. Once the client's implemented, you're copied on their implementation. And then if you're qualified to be a mentor, then you're their mentor. But the same landing page will work. We don't need different landing pages for different campaigns. Mr. Harris says, I think this is great, though this would be my first time being able to utilize the leads. I don't have the website yet. And again, Mr. Harris, we can take care of getting you we don't really call it a website, but a landing page. We gave you an example one. And this is Mr. Davis's real one. This isn't made up, but we can get that for you. Let's see. However, if I have a company, Mr. Harris asked, however, if I have a company in the incubator, can I use the same website that will be created for the company? Well, I suppose so. Yeah, we welcome you all to plug into our incubator, but the landing page is what we want to drive people to. You could have $1 million website, and for this campaign, we wouldn't want to drive them to the $1 million website. All we want to do is drive them into a landing page. So hopefully that made sense. Well, and Travis is right. You know, we're reaching out to people cold. We're introducing something that's legitimate, but they don't know us, and so now we're texting them and giving them a link, and maybe they're hesitant to click on that link. They're worried about it being a malicious link. So what you could certainly do is send them instead the YouTube video that is on your landing page. And I think if they see a YouTube link, they'll probably be more comfortable with it. And so you could drive them right to your YouTube. But essentially, we're going to need to eventually get this, or you could just ask them, hey, if I can get your email address, I can get you more information, because you already have their name, you already have their phone number. If you had their email address, then you could put their information in Travis, on your landing page and it looks the same to us. So that would be another workaround. Peggy says she'll have to get help to make calls. She doesn't have time to make 100 calls a day. Yeah, and understand. And you know, anytime you're building a business, you're going to almost always want to leverage other people's time, whereby they generate value and you generate profit. So I think for all of us, it would make sense to have others help make calls. And so some of you are getting with us and you've got 4 or 5 people that are making calls for you. So now we're generating 4 or 5 leads list. So we were talking about 30 policies a month. Well, that's 30 per, I hate to use the term, but we'll call them a telemarketer. So if you have 2 telemarketers, we would predict that you would generate 60 key person policies a month, right? It's linear with the amount of outbound calls that are making, take into consideration the conversion percentage. So yes, Peggy, you could certainly have others make those calls, including an intern. Daniel asked, will there be leads available with email addresses as well? You can go buy leads list with email addresses if you want, but I don't know that you're going to have near the success that you might think by just doing an email campaign. I think reaching out to them and then texting them is best practice. Kwong asked about getting a landing page. And so again, we just need to make sure that you're a financial literacy educator and licensed, Kwong, and then we'll give you a landing page for free, or the alternative is enroll in the Access to Capital. But you can just email over to me, Kwong. We'll make sure you meet one of those 2 criteria and get that set up for you. That's not a problem. Pauline, yeah, Pauline's one of those licensed folks that's really busy with Medicare and the ACA market right now, but that'll end December 7th. And so your time will free up then, Pauline, which is great. I think there's a number of you in a similar circumstance. What an opportunity to build a team of sub-agents come December 8th. And so they get paid and you get paid overrides, Pauline. That's perfect. All right, so I think we covered what we wanted to. If you go back and make sure that you're familiar with Friday's lesson that we had, which was listed here, and then of course today's lesson, just meet these prerequisites or preparatory steps. We'll start getting you a leads list, just like we provided Charlotte this morning for Los Angeles. And there's an incredible opportunity to help others and earn a great income. So thanks, everyone. We'll see you back tomorrow morning. Have a good day.